I studied English. I learned how to write sentences. I learned how to read, really read, because that was my biggest anxiety spell. It still is.
You know what I hated in school? When they went around and then called on you to read in front.
Oh my gosh.
That was like a nightmare. I still get anxiety.
Did you go ahead
Yeah, I would
count?
read ahead.
Would you go and count ahead and be like, I have the smallest paragraph or the biggest paragraph and practice?
Yeah. And you know what I would also do? I would practice it, but then you know what would happen? Somebody would be like, I want to read one more paragraph. And it would just mess everything up. and then I would have to figure out the next paragraph. These are the challenges of foreign kids where we're like practicing reading the next paragraph, which is insane, you know?
Still so much anxiety. So much.
All right.
I'm such a snob. Look at me texting. I'm such a millennial.
Yeah.
I'm like,
hey, you're here to do a podcast.
I know, but this, like my friend, she's like,
what are you doing?
Like, it's a long story, right? But like her guy.
Oh my God. Is this what you're texting?
No, listen, I'm getting you connected to an insurance agent. I'm always like working.
For a second, I believed you. Okay.
Can I put this up right here?
Sure.
Is
yeah.
it
you
going
can.
To,
why not?
It's as expensive as your equipment.
Very expensive. We've got some expensive stuff, and I take a lot of it with me because I don't want it to get stolen. We've got like a bazillion cameras in here, so they're like everywhere.
I'm gonna tell you your fortune.
Oh, you're gonna tell me my fortune with
with the cards.
Okay.
The political cards.
With the political cards. Okay, perfect. I got it. I got your text message. Kay. Amazing. Okay, all right. Clap. And then you can get as close as you want to this. Usually, the closer you are, and you can kind of hear yourself how you're going to sound, essentially.
This is so cool. Even when you were over there with the camera and you were talking, it was clean.
Clean audio.
Well,
what this does is it kind of really immerses you in the conversation itself, and then that way you're just like focused on the person itself.
Yeah, this is really. I hope. Sometimes my hair moves, and I hope it doesn't. Well, it won't touch the mic. Never mind. I forget when it's here. When it's here, it does like touch the mic. But this is cool.
Yeah. Oh, and I got some other people that are candidates. Well, I got their email addresses today. Everybody's email address. But the main one that I really wanted to do next was Christopher Reed.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Well, he's currently on city council,
yeah,
so that should be very easy to get a hold of.
That one, yeah, that's how I messaged him. He's running for seat 6.
He's running for the seat he's in.
And nobody's
challenging it.
Nobody's challenging it. So he's like, have a nice day.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So what I was thinking with him was I was going to be doing like, I wanted him to kind of like tell people like what city council does, because he's already in city council, and how city council works, and just kind of try to educate people and things like that. Okay, here we go. All right. Welcome to a new podcast. Today I have Liyah. I'm going to butcher your last name,
Babayan. You forgot the N.
Babayan. Okay, she's came prepared with her signage. You got like business cards.
Yeah.
You're like,
fun.
You're like, all right, we're gonna definitely promote this. So I thought you would be a great person to talk to. We have an election happening, and my goal was to try to get in touch with all of the people running for city council and just try to get to know them. So that way people get an idea of who they would be voting for, their background, pretty much anything, like we'll see where this kind of conversation goes. So basically, for a lot of people are already like checking out, like city council, no, I'm not interested in this, but we're going to try to make it fun.
Yeah.
Basically, to kind of catch people up, there's 3 seats that are up for election. There's basically seat 1, seat 5, and seat 6, right? And these are like 4-year terms that basically you're on, I think. I think it's 4 years, right?
Correct.
You are going to be, you're trying to get seat number 5. That's my favorite number.
Why?
I don't know. I always, everything, I'm like 5, 5, 5. I don't know. Do you have a favorite number?
I think my favorite number would be either 7 or 9.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. You're lucky 7, huh?
Well, I just find 7 being like a very, well, like with a week, you know, there's just some really like some kind of like cycles related to 7.
7. A lot of people love 7.
But yeah, lucky 7, I guess. Well, culturally, if you know about 7s, like it's a lucky 7. But maybe in some parts of the world, it's an unlucky number. I don't know.
Yeah.
But 9s too. I like 9s.
7 and 9s. You have to have one. You can't have 2.
Yeah. But you know what? Like 0's a cool number.
0 is
really
cool.
Is.
So, seat 1 and 5 are the primary ones that people are trying to get elected for. I believe there's like 9 candidates or something like that. I think there's like 9. I'll flash, boom, these are all the people.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll even show like, boom, here is a ballot, how it looks like.
Yeah. If a sample ballot is already
I think there's
created,
a sample ballot already out there.
But this is a cool time. Like, this is a really cool time for a couple different reasons. One, with reality and what's happening, not just locally, but globally. And we've seen that what happens globally and nationally affects us on a very local level in a very real way. So no longer, I feel that, there's always going to be people who don't do politics. I'm going to use like air quotes. I don't do politics. That's cool. That's interesting because politics does you every single day. If you turn on the tap water, if you're riding on a road, if you're working and you have a paycheck, you can look at those numbers that are being taken out, and guess what? That's going into what's called politics. It's paying for things in your community. It's paying for things that we all benefit from, and that keep us safe and secure and help our city grow. So, what's really neat about what's really inspiring right now is the number of candidates that are running.
Yeah, and I think
the age variety. So we have like younger people running, which is to me so exciting because I feel like we need more young people engaged and involved.
You know what I found interesting? I think this seat 1 and seat 5, the current people that are in the seats, they're not running for the seats again. So basically, this will be a brand new batch of people, and we get to keep Christopher Reed. And I've met Christopher Reed once before, and he seemed like a pretty cool guy. So I'll have him on the podcast as well and kind of get to really know him. And as long as he's up for it. And I'm going to open this up to all of the candidates as well to just kind of see what everybody kind of has and like what they want to do and so forth. But what I wanted to really do in this podcast with you was first kind of get to know you a little bit, like your background, how did you come here, what like your a little bit about your business and things like that. So I guess can you like give me a short, we can probably talk hours about like all, how you came here and so forth. But you even have a book. You know what?
It's a coloring book.
No. It's a real book. It's a real book. Is it on Amazon as well?
It is. It's available at the Visitor Center and at CSI.
Oh, really?
And at the Herod Center.
Wow. Look, she's a proclaimed author. Is that what the people say? Proclaimed author? I don't know what that even means.
I don't know. Published
author. Yeah, that's the correct word.
Proclaimed.
I don't know. Beats me. So, but you know what happened to my book? Somebody stole my book.
How?
My locker, like storage locker, got broken in, and all my stuff.
Book you wrote?
No, I had a whole bunch of books.
My book got stolen?
Yeah, your book
got stolen. Is that the copy that's being sold online for $78? Someone's selling my book for $78?
We need to track this person down.
Is this Arnell selling the book?
No, I need to find that person because he might have the rest of my stuff. Maybe they stole it out of my locker, and now we got to hunt him down.
Dude, that's like the ultimate compliment to have my book stolen out of your locker alongside with
all my other stuff.
Livelihood
belongings. The only thing that they left was a microwave. Apparently, they didn't like my microwave. So they took everything except the microwave. They probably thought I don't need this microwave.
It's heavy to carry.
Yeah.
Books are lighter. But you know what? Out of all the out of like there's not many, but out of all the like excuses people have given me for why they haven't read my book, yours is the best.
Yeah, I know. I was like, there's no way I have time to read this book.
What's funny is my book that he has is actually an audiobook.
Is it? I was gonna recommend. I'm like, hey, I got this microphones.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do? You need to come read the book, right?
And record it.
Then that's all I've been like listening to is audiobooks.
Yeah.
I don't have
Who has
time to like read.
Yeah.
Like if I'm driving somewhere, I'll put it on.
Yeah.
But
same with me. I even haven't read my book. Only to
You
review.
haven't?
Well, to review the chapters, and like when I do readings and book signings, then yes, I dive into that material.
Yeah.
But I don't sit. You don't sit and read your book.
You write for the audiobook.
Yeah. And we're doing that and translating it into 5 different languages, and so that's in the process. And thank you for offering your space. That would be like super cool and crisp. A few other people, Jordan in the community here. He's got a studio set
He's
up.
got some good microphones as well. We're on the same level of mics.
Yeah,
he's probably got singing mics. These are like podcasting, talking mics.
Oh yeah, it's all about the microphone.
You got to have some good mics. Really make the audio good. Okay, so I keep interrupting you. I should probably let you talk a little bit. So I guess, can you give me like, what I really wanted to know was like, how did you come to Twin Falls and how did you start your business and like, how did you get to right here, this podcast?
Oh my gosh. My mother met my father.
Okay.
Is that how far back you
No.
want me to go?
We wanna speed this up and have like a little cliff notes of so people that don't know you, like just kind of like a a little bit about you, a little bit about your story, I guess, and then they can find out more about it in the book or something like that.
So the first thing I'll say is there's a lot more information in my bio and my resume of work, school, and civic and community service, all available on my website, liyahbabayan.com. There it is, liyahbabayan.com. And shout out to Desert Media and Janelle and Tamara there. They have put together the most beautiful website. And not only that, but it's functional, it's fun for elections, and it's relevant as far as being full of really guided information to make it click easy for people to go from, I have no idea what's going on and how to vote or what to do next, to step-by-step, okay, I need to register to vote. Here's how you register to vote in Idaho, because state by state, some laws are different and timelines are different.
Yeah.
For example, you have to register to vote by October 8th. So 21 days before any election is a cutoff point, and it kind of blocks that period of time for no new registrations until day of election or early voting, where you can go to the county building, register to vote, and vote at the same time. And then day of the election, November 2nd, go to your precinct, the location where you will vote, maybe a church, maybe a civic building, and on that day, register to vote right there and vote. So that's the process of how do you get to vote.
Yeah.
You have to live in Twin Falls City.
Yeah.
You do have to be 18 years old and a U.S. citizen. I have had people ask, well, if I'm not 18, but I'm a U.S. citizen, can I vote? And nope, you still have to you have to turn 18.
Yeah.
Before the election, I believe.
Yeah.
So to register. And a big question I get, really a very common question I get, well, I'm a felon. How can I vote? Can I vote? I can't vote. In the state of Idaho, you can. If you have a felony, you've done your time, you paid your restitution, you're not in any kind of
not in jail anymore.
Well, yeah, you're obviously not in jail anymore.
Yeah.
You're not committing other offenses, and you're not in a program. Depends on the program. Maybe there's some volunteer hours, but you paid everything back. You can register to vote. You can have your voting rights back. And vote in state and local elections, not for the president, not national elections. So that's important to know because everyone's different, and the Constitution grants us the right to vote. It doesn't say that you forever lose your right to vote if you've created this and this offense. I mean, there's state by state laws, but it's important to know what's going on right here in Idaho.
It's can be confusing for people if they're first time voters. So a lot of people are like, I don't want to deal with this, so they just don't vote.
Right.
Basically, we need to change that.
So check this out. Like, just because I'm all about real time challenges. Do you have your phone? You don't have your phone. What kind of millennial are you? You don't have your phone attached to your body? So
where's this going?
Well, here's what we're going to do. While I'm talking to you, I'm going to go to vote Idaho.
Yeah.
.gov.
Oh, it's so easy to set up
and I'm going to just click on it. It says right there, voter education, online voter tools, check your voter record.
Yeah.
Check your status. Check your voter record, new and update voter registration. So let's say you are registered to vote, but you moved across the street even since the last time you voted. You have to update your information.
Yeah.
Or you didn't vote in 4 consecutive years. In the state of Idaho, you're kicked out of the voter registration.
Yes, and then you would have to either vote on the spot there,
or register again,
or register online again.
You have to register, or you changed your last name or your legal name, or you got married. You have to update. So it takes literally from the point I click on any of these. It takes 2 minutes.
I did that. Yeah, it was pretty easy. Like they really make it easy to register to vote, and like I said, you can also do it online. But we're getting off track here.
So tell you about myself.
Yeah,
right?
We need to know. We'll figure out how to vote later.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. We need to know about you.
Who are you?
Who are you? What?
So how did I come to the United States?
Yeah, how did you come to this podcast?
Yeah, how did I come? So I was brought here.
Did you walk here? Did you drive here?
So I was, my family, we were brought here. We were brought here as refugees after surviving war and genocide. I was 10 years old. That's what my book is about. It's about the experience of war and genocide through a child's perspective and the refugee experience after being resettled here in Twin Falls in 1992. So the book pretty much tracks my family's experience of integrating into this community. And in 4th grade, shout out to Mrs. Gunter at Harrison. I got in trouble for punching a kid in his nose because he was being very rude and bullying and just, telling me to go back to my country and just being, kids. But at that time, the only reaction I had was... Was it you? Did I punch you?
No, it wasn't me. Yeah, it was funny because like me and my sister, we were on the podcast and we said the same exact thing. Every refugee typically gets that
in a fight.
Not in a fight, but they people will say, "Go back to your country."
Yeah.
So
it's like a welcoming or
it's
an
like,
initiation.
Yeah, it is what it is. And like I said, you're another person that just basically is repeating the same exact. Information, and the way we talked about it was it's like what they're hearing with their parents, and what their parents are, that's where they're kind of getting so with kids obviously, but I don't think so. It's kind of pushes more back on the parents to just be like better parents in general.
Kids behave from the behavior they are presented, the variety of behavior that's demonstrated at home, whether that's positive or negative.
Yeah.
So from that point on, I was like in class suspension, I guess, for during recess. And Mrs. Gunter, she was like, I think she was wise. I didn't really know English then, but she kind of saw what was happening and gave me a little journal to like write in. And so I started journaling. And early on, poor language, but I started journaling, and all through to this point, I journal. And so the book, what I'm trying to say is that it captures from before our arrival to the United States, so our life escaping the war and genocide and then being brought here, to my experience of integrating, going through identity, working through identity, processing trauma, processing loss, and grieving and assimilating and learning English and turning homework in on time all at the same time throughout my teenage years. And then it cuts off at like 18. So it does not cover going to university or opening a business or sitting on a committee or volunteering or being on the school board or running an election or a podcast with you.
Yeah. So that could be a part 2 book.
You're the sequel, right? Like,
put me in the sequel. And then I went to Arnell's podcast. And that's how I became.
Chapter 19.
Yep, there you go.
I'm in a basement downtown.
Yeah, we're in a basement in downtown.
Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I now am a mother of 2 really witty, curious, and super brave children. They most of the time parent me because my childhood was so chaotic that I don't really have like a template of what normal childhood's supposed to be. So they do. They're the experts in their fields. And sometimes my son, they're trilingual. We speak Russian and Armenian. Sometimes my son in Russian will be like, we're doing what kids are supposed to do right now at this age. You didn't do this because you guys had a war.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
We were trying to...
not die.
We didn't play tags. We escaped bullets.
Yeah.
So, okay. Because... you just, that's what you do. You raise your kids a lot of times how you were raised. But if you don't really have that, and I had incredible parents, like there's no failure on their part, but your environment shapes you. And so my kids parent me so much. They really do. And also, what's exciting about all of this and engaging in the community and serving on the school board and just being involved and going and talking at council and getting communities mobilized for petitions or anything, just anytime there's an initiative, is that my children get to experience like real life government class in real time.
Yeah, and like real life.
Yes, this is how our institutions work in this country. This is why you are free. It's not some abstract thing that happens on the 4th of July and we blow up fireworks and we celebrate independence and freedom. No, that's ceremonial. But freedom is in the everyday moves and the way we breathe it into our institutions. And not to get all like deep, but for little children, first generation after immigrants and refugees, that's important because liberty and civic expression isn't natural to like your parents and my parents.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, I don't know, but we came from a communist background. So there's really no freedom of assembly, speech, thinking,
it's like
religion. There's none of that. Like, you don't belong to yourself. We don't even have the concept of the individual, right? It's like communal. Everything's collective. Everything belongs to the state. There's no debate. So
that's like real communism. I don't think it was that bad in Bosnia, but again, I was very little, so I don't remember too much. When I moved here, I was like starting 4th grade or something like that. When you moved here, what grade did they put you in?
So I got held back because
you punched the kid.
Well, no, a couple of reasons. Because my birthday's in June, and our records didn't match up to the school here, the grade I was there to hear, and no English skills. So in that 4th, 5th grade, 4th grade, but if I was in 5th or 6th, that's where the reading has to be. It would be missed because that's usually at the 3rd grade level. 4th grade, you're developing the fundamentals, and so. I got held back. So I was always the oldest in my class.
So they started you in 3rd grade, basically?
Yeah.
They skipped me on the 3rd, and I missed out a lot of fundamentals. And
it's so important. I missed 3rd. And so, or I think they put me in 3rd, and then somehow we transferred to Harrison because we began at Lincoln. And like, you don't really know what's happening. You're kind of just being moved around.
Yeah.
And your parents don't have control over you because it's caseworkers. And you're just like, all right, we're not going to make a peep because we don't want to get deported. Like, you're like, do whatever they say. Like,
that's why I remember too. Me and my sister were kind of talking because I did a podcast with my sister, and again, so funny with all these things. I remember like I was just doing whatever they wanted me to do, and I had ESL. Did you have ESL?
Yes,
Where they teach you like this is a cow.
A cow. Yeah, yeah.
I was telling my sister.
I'm a human.
Yeah, I was telling my sister, I milked that ESL thing as long as I could.
Oh, you did? You're
Yeah.
so smart. I didn't.
You did it.
I
A lot of
didn't.
people did not, but I was like, I don't still understand this cow.
Oh my gosh! Till like 12th grade, you're
Oh
still
my gosh!
studying the
Like,
cow.
yeah, I was like, let's go over this cow again. I'm like, perfect. At one point, they were like, you are faking it now, and I was like,
You have a podcast. You're faking it. Well, yes. So ESL, I remember ESL because it was like the place I felt like I most belonged, because there were all these foreign kids, everyone dressed funny, they smelled like their homes, whatever their moms were cooking. And like no one could really make fun of each other because we were all the ones that were
foreigners,
we're all the ones being made fun of. So it's like you can't really diss someone because we're all broke and poor. And it's like, what do you do? You just start being a friend. And some of my most lasting friendships and some of the best memories have been out of ESL. Really. And so with ESL though, the focus, at least in my experience, was the conversational English. So the speaking and the calling things, but I was pretty illiterate until after graduating high school. My friend helped me get my homework done. My friend Jacqueline, shout out to my friend Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, I don't know who this is.
Whose name belongs on my diploma because she helped me with my homework. It was so difficult for me to do homework, and I was no longer in ESL because I wasn't smart like you.
Yeah, you gotta milk it.
And you can't get...
I was getting constant help from ESL people. I'm like, this is great.
Help with homework,
help with
projects,
homework, and
supplies.
Because
you don't
ESL
always
is
have
great.
that.
It's like but anyways, after you finished high school, did you then go to college?
I did. I went to Southern Oregon University, and that's where I really applied myself to learning English and working on getting rid of my accent. I had a speech coach, and I still possibly have an accent. I can't tell.
Yeah,
Sometimes it comes back when I'm around my family that has really broken English. But I knew that if I was going to want to be heard and not my accent heard first, that I would need to work on getting it under control. And so I really focused on that. For like the first year at university, I studied English. I learned how to write sentences. I learned how to read, really read, because that was my biggest anxiety spell. It still is.
You know what I hated in school? When they went around and then called on you to read in front.
Oh my gosh.
That was like a nightmare.
I still get anxiety. Did you go ahead
Yeah,
and
I would
count?
read ahead.
Would you go and count ahead and be like, I have the smallest paragraph or the biggest paragraph and practice?
And you know what I would also do? I would practice it, but then you know what would happen? Somebody would be like, I want to read one more paragraph. And it would just mess everything up. and then I would have to figure out the next paragraph. These are the challenges of foreign kids where we're like practicing reading the next paragraph, which is insane,
Still so much anxiety. So much.
Yeah.
Even when if I have to help my kids with their homework, the first, second, third, fourth grade for me was the hardest because I never learned grammar. So my son would say, help me with grammar. And I'm like, Google can help you with
Google
grammar.
can help
but
you.
you wrote a book. People are like, I had 2 editors. That's how horrible it was. You had to have 2 editors to help you make sense of it. Yeah, so conversational English, great. But the reading and writing, I would say it wasn't until probably I was 20 years old, not 20 years old, but 20 years old, where I felt that I could be confident about reading and grasping it, writing, like turning in essays at a university level, and articulating my thoughts in English. And it just was so empowering. And that's why in my book, in the last chapter, one of the things I really stress is learn the language. Learn the language. Don't hurry up and go to a paycheck to paycheck job to get the first luxuries you want, because it's a big country and it's exciting and you're free and you want to work and live the American dream.
Yeah.
Equip yourself with the language skills no matter how long it takes, because that's your freedom.
Yeah.
Language is your freedom.
So you went to college. What was your degree that you were going for?
I studied, what I studied was political and military sciences.
Oh, so you were like,
and
I'm into politics
double
immediately.
majored. Not so much. I think in a way I was studying it to understand what happened to us. I really wanted to understand because it didn't make sense to me that neighbors just one day, they were great for generations, and one day they picked up weapons and wanted to kill each other. And I was like, it doesn't happen that way. And it was just part of my trauma.
You wanted to figure out why that happened.
I understood, political theory. I understood what cycles of politics are, what rhetoric does, how nationalism works. And that's what happened in where we lived, is nationalism created this big divide. And so it just helped me understand the world. And really the other part of it was I was so intrigued by this country and I knew nothing about it. My parents, I couldn't ask my parents, well, what's the judicial branch and what's the, how do you vote? And they're busy to keep roof and
keep a roof and feed the kids. That's
they don't know. They don't know capitalism or the Constitution until, they studied it and became citizens. But so I really wanted to understand this country. I knew it was exciting and I knew that it was going to be a big life to live here. And I wanted to live it in a very big way. And what I mean by that is not just take for granted the liberties here and not just benefit from them, but give back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Give back by participating. And
in the government process.
In all of the processes, there's so many. There's so many that are allowed and safe to participate in. And very few people do. And it just makes me really sad because where we come from, it's not safe to participate. And if you do participate, you disappear.
You can, you can definitely just be gone.
Yeah. That's what
I
was
think
so
there's
exciting for me.
Stuff even in like right now, like some people that like are trying to stand up, they're like, they can disappear, which is not a good thing. So thankfully we have a good system here where anybody can go ahead. And what's crazy is like anybody that wants to run for city council, there's a form. You fill it out and you're on the ballot. And then basically it's up to you to go ahead and convince people like this is the reason that you guys should vote for me and so forth. So I feel like it's a fair system as long as you know where to get the forms and so forth. And I think just even reaching out to people, can get the ball rolling. Yeah. So you went to college, but was this?
I didn't go to college. I went to university.
A university.
Because afterwards I did things backwards. I went to university first. Then when I moved back here, I thought maybe I should do this college thing. Right? We're here at CSI. And I have some random credits on my transcript if I apply them, and so I worked on my U.S. History, Latin history, and political associates at CSI. So the bachelor's at Southern Oregon University, and then the associates here. And then I didn't apply any of these degrees because I opened a woman's boutique. I went into business and I never took not even an hour of business class.
How did that begin? I guess what I was curious is like, how did you get this idea? Like, so you graduate college, you moved from a country that was at war pretty much. And now you're in Twin, then you're like learning English. Then you basically go to college, get educated. And then you get this idea, I'm going to start a boutique store. And for people that don't know, it's Ooh La La. It's literally in downtown, very near.
It's like 2 doors down.
2 doors down, yeah.
3.5 doors down.
Yeah, exactly. So how did that idea start? And just kind of give me like a little bit of how you got that ball rolling.
Yeah. It was random. It really was random because growing up, so before the war, before the chaos in our life, we lived really well. We did. My grandmother and my mother, they worked at an atelier, which is a tailor shop, basically. Not a sweatshop factory, but a tailor, a higher-end tailor shop, and designed clothes. So growing up, I grew up around seamstresses my entire childhood. And even when we moved here, my father sews, my mother knows how to sew, and my grandmother. My parents both are very, very well educated. My father's a mechanical engineer, and my mother, she is an economist. an industrial economist. So I learned a lot about business without knowing that I was learning about business. And I learned a lot about garments and textiles and dressing people just by secondhand being in the environment. I went back to Armenia in 2005, and partly to see family for the first time. It was our family's pilgrimage back for the first time altogether. There was a lot of healing and closure that happened. And at the same time, there was a lot of materials that I gathered, photographs, documents, death certificates, interviews, information, videos of what happened so that I could process and compile into a manuscript later to publish in liminal, my book.
Okay.
So at the same time, after I came back, I had an opportunity to go to Amsterdam and do an internship there. I went there. That wasn't as I desired it to be. It just was boring. It was filing paperwork. And I thought, this isn't for me. And this isn't realistic. What I mean by that is I'm 22. I'm a foreigner. I'm going to go back to the United States. I'm going to end up the only political work, because the degree is in political science, the only international scene or political work at that time that I could imagine doing is filing paperwork, right? As a page, and that's what happens. And you have to know people.
Yeah.
And who do I know, right? We have 5 people on this continent, family members, and no one's tied to any Rotary or church organization, or my uncle cousin's brother doesn't know the judge, or you have to know people.
You gotta know
here,
people.
even in a small town, that's how you win elections, is people. So yes, everyone can run, but being in a network obviously is what helps get you elected. It's very difficult and near impossible for someone out of my background or any background that isn't connected to win an election.
How would you say people should start getting connected with other people then?
So, well, let me answer the
Sorry.
rest.
Yeah,
We're gonna pin that, right?
Boop.
Great question, and yes, that's important, and I will get to that. So, on the way back, I was on the airplane. I had a little cocktail or whatever. On the napkin, I started just kind of drafting a business plan. I didn't know what business I was going to go into, but I knew one thing. I knew that I had to secure a financial future for my family. My parents were aging out, and I knew that in this country, all of your freedom is connected to financial freedom. I mean, we can talk about the flags, the banners, we can romanticize freedom, but concrete freedom of mobility, freedom of expression, freedom of getting an education, of advancing, of buying a home is connected to finance. So,
Money. Yep.
Yes,
everybody needs a lot of money.
Financial freedom. I mean, you can have all the liberties in the world, but if you don't have the finances to take care of your health, to feed your family, to buy a home, to move somewhere, to go to school, to start a business, how free are you, right? So
Very good point.
Understanding that financial freedom as a fundamental to my liberties, and I'm very obsessed with my liberties, and all people should be very obsessed with their liberties in a healthy way, and know just how fragile they are. So I thought, okay, come up with a business plan, get into business. Not knowing anything about business, I thought, well, what is the one product? What is the one product I can sell? Or what is the one business I could really create, a model that's legal, that's a legal business, that is dependable, consistent, and unshakable. Because economies have cycles. And in a capitalist society, if you've studied capitalism, there's cycles. There's 4-year cycles. There's 6-year cycles. So understanding the influence of elections, the change of administration, the cycle of capitalism, supply chains, really understanding all those hiccups and tribulations that can, including pandemics, that can really affect any business.
Yeah.
I thought I need to create something that's shake-proof.
Yeah.
Started my business in the middle of a recession and went with the consignment sustainability model, because if we could create sustainability by sourcing local, recycling and minimizing waste, by taking what's already in the economy, in our community, and reselling it, then no matter what's happening, even if there's a nuclear war, women especially, they're going to get their hair done, their nails done, and they're going to shop.
They're going to go shopping.
They are going to go shopping because they they keep the economy going.
Mm-hmm.
They are at a much higher rate of spenders than
Yeah,
males.
girls love buying shoes, clothes. This is me. I'll just go pick some random stuff. I don't really care. I'll just like this one. I'm good.
Yeah.
And
When it has a hole in it, you replace it.
yeah, there you go.
And so, exactly, I thought I can depend on women. I thought I'm going to open a salon. I remembered how I can't do hair or nails.
Yeah, so like scratch.
and that I would have to go to school to learn how to do hair and nails. And the most important thing, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand doing someone's hair and nails. It's just not my
Forte.
it's not where I'm plugged in and excited. And someone else is, and I'm glad because I would look like a hamster if someone wasn't passionate about hair and nails.
Yeah.
So the sustainability and the motivation to take materials and upcycle them and open the space up to other women, like a cooperative, to sell
Yeah.
and benefit economically from that, empowering them, and at the same time empowering the business. And then a third branch of that would be give back to the community. So from every sale, someone is paid, whoever the seller, the commission goes to the store, and then also the community benefits because we are able to do community service with that amount. Opening it up to artists, whether they're painting or making purses or any maker or creator. And since then, we have expanded. Now we have over 5,800 independent consignor accounts
Wow.
and over 60 local and regional artists, makers, contributors. And it's just always evolving.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got like
And
a
it- and-
network of people that basically got like all kinds of goodies for
Very
people.
little marketing, if none. I mean, Facebook, but even then, very little marketing and word of mouth. Because in that kind of business, it's based on trust.
Yeah.
People don't leave a $12,000 fur coat or a $20,000 ring or bracelet with you because you're cute or they like you or you have a contract. There has to be trust. And we have run that. Ooh La La has been run with such high integrity. I'm not allowed to shop there.
Yeah, you probably
My
just buy everything. You're like,
My employees are not allowed to shop there. I mean, if there is some specialty item and it's been 30 days, we'll communicate with the consignor. So it's very transparent. They'll get paid full commission. Otherwise, what happens in a lot of consignment stores, and I'm not dissing, but oftentimes that trust is breached because all the good stuff gets selected by the employees and by the owner. It's like, can't
no,
do that.
it's like you gotta give it out to everybody else too. So that's
And
a good.
when I
didn't
started
even,
it,
I didn't even know that's how that.
that's how that works.
I hadn't.
Yep.
I was like, what?
And
that was
we
my mind. It's
are,
like,
there you go. And we are saving. What I'm so proud of is, this is our 17th year in business.
wow.
and
How many years?
17th.
17 years
So-
running Ooh La La.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
You've been here a while. Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about downtown. Basically, this was going to be more kind of like politics-wise, which was, do you think that downtown is healthy and successful right now?
So I moved downtown. I was in the Linwood Mall when I started the business. I was in the Linwood Mall. And after 3 years, I got out of there. And I moved downtown. Everyone that I was talking to get advice said, that is a career suicide move. Do not move downtown. Go to the mall. Go to that side of town. Everyone's moving there. Stay on Blue Lakes. Downtown's just turning into a ghetto, which I wouldn't say that that's a good comparison, but it's depreciating. No one goes downtown. I thought, at first I was like, well, other people are wiser, smarter. They've been in business. They know better than me. And then I thought, okay, fair enough. But if everyone does that, then yes, downtown will depreciate. So I made a very conscious decision. I said, number one, I trusted that our clients would move with us. Okay. And two, I thought, if I don't move downtown, then another young first-time entrepreneur won't move downtown because they don't see someone downtown. Then a restaurant won't be downtown. And everyone will be moving out of downtown. So yeah, I mean, we'll just doom it, right? So I did make the decision to move into the Rogerson building across the street from you here. Since then, it's been demolished. And we're on this side of town in the Main Street Plaza.
Yeah.
But I moved in there. And at that time, there were 11 vacancies just on this block vicinity. Side streets too. 11 vacancies. And I saw businesses come in and leave within 6 months. And that's scary. I was 23 years old when I started the business. And when you see that, you're like, it shakes you. You're like, I'm next.
Yeah.
Something's
It would be
happening.
a lot of people.
We're next.
Yeah, a lot of people don't pull the trigger for a business because they're like, I don't know if this is going to be successful. So you took the leap of becoming an entrepreneur and also jumping into downtown when it was early stages.
Yep.
Then they basically started like revitalizing.
We did. We as a family, because it's not just me. My whole family survives with me in it, or we fail together. So, not only that, but any future attempt, because you put all your capital in, and it's hard to get out of that. So, I believed in downtown, and I invested myself into downtown and my business into downtown, and it wasn't glamorous then, but then people did start opening restaurants, and then renovations start happening, private owned buildings. And then urban renewal came in with the opportunity to work on this street, the 4-block radius. And I was so lucky to be able to be part of that, part of the redesign Maine with other business owners. And we would have input about the type of brick, the kind of trees, and, really like design downtown. And before that, we collaborated, got together, and got rid of the meters.
The meters. I remember the meters. You got to put nobody wanted to come to downtown because of the meters, and they're like, let's get rid of these meters. And it's like, good job. It's like meters. Is it going to really make you some extra money on that? Like, it's better to just bring people down here. I forgot all about the meters.
The meters. I would say like the meters downtown, as far as like a business collective effort and like a political charge. The meters is what really brought us together and made us all work on a common goal. And some people would be like, well, that's something little. Well, not necessarily, because if you're doing someone's hair and they have to sit in your chair and process color, and then they want to go grab some lunch next door or come into Ooh La La and shop, one quarter that runs out in the meter can cost them a ticket.
Yeah, deters them. The meter, they're just a whole being is like
punishes them for doing business.
Thanks for coming downtown. Here's a ticket.
Right.
And they finally took that away. Yeah. You know what? Again, I'll let you kind of finish what you want to say about downtown itself. So I would say
it's thriving right now. It's going through growing pains. What I mean by that is there's a huge construction site and people have to detour. But how wonderful that we have investment downtown. We have buildings that are full of businesses downtown, offices downtown. There's residential that are being worked on, improved so that we can have people living downtown more so. And you've noticed that, we really have noticed that as far as foot traffic and people being proud to bring their family members down here. So, hey, let's go see Shoshone Falls, and you have to go see our downtown. People are proud. When I used to like drive friends through town and be like, step on the gas, go through downtown, because there's literally nothing to see, and it's
But now
sad.
it's changed, yeah.
Now we're proud. We're like, go downtown. Have you seen downtown? Go downtown. Go see
it's
downtown.
like, go eat here.
You can spend your family day downtown. You can eat, drink, relax, do business, shop, take care of office things, pay your city bill. You can really manage your life right here downtown. And the more amenities and the more resources and the more local and pedestrian friendly we can secure downtown to be, the better.
Yeah.
One of the worries is that it gentrifies, which happens in a lot of communities, or it becomes way too expensive for locals to be able to live or do business down here.
Yeah. Well, then leading to the next question bouncing off of that is like, what would you do like to try to improve downtown if you were to get elected? Because obviously your business is in downtown. So I'm assuming that you have some ideas maybe for downtown. Like, is there anything that comes to mind that you think would make downtown a better place?
So I'm going to say the best decisions for downtown are made when the merchants, the owners of the buildings, and the communities involved in the decision-making process. That is crucial. If decisions made for downtown are made kind of like top-down,
like a dictator saying, you need this now.
Sure. Or more realistically, let's say we bring in some out of city developing, downtown Main Street developing agency, and they do a survey and they tell the city council, this is what we think would work best for your downtown. Great. That analysis is very valuable, right? But if that isn't matched or weighed or with the actual people who have the buildings and are doing business and are every single day breathing life into downtown, including the people that are here enjoying downtown, then that's going to be a miss.
Yeah.
We're going to have experts telling us how to grow, build, develop, expand downtown, including the culture of downtown, right? The economy of downtown. But we're going to have a miss. Every time we're going to have a miss unless the people here are included in the decision-making process, which is why my slogan is the people first. I feel like that decision has to be made by the people included, and not just through representatives, but a constant dialogue, asking communities. We're a small enough community that we can have a conversation about local decisions.
So you're thinking is like you want business people and people in general to kind of come together and figure it out in some kind of discussion or so forth.
So the work that, for example, the work I did and other business owners and building owners and volunteers that sat on the committee for Redesign Main Street, from the very first phase to the construction phases to the third phase of, okay, let's now host events and have programs and maintenance and public art that's in that kind of third phase. There's a fourth phase. And the fourth phase we haven't quite really fulfilled. And that includes either a full-time or a part-time Main Street coordinator, someone who either works with the city or is a paid position here that takes care of all these downtown needs, so that and has that liaison kind of position between merchants, building owners, residents, and
somebody that everybody can go to and be like, okay, I'm trying to get everybody's ideas together. That's a really good idea.
And I don't know. So you were asking me like, what would I do? So I don't approach city council with the position and posture and the state of mind of what would Liyah do. I approach it with, who does Liyah listen to? Because that's what I feel that the role of a representative is, whatever board or organization you're on or councilwoman. What you listen and you apply what is needed, what is suggested. And so there needs to be that avenue created so that if there is a crisis or something, or a shutdown, right, that we can have some kind of a trust there, established path of avenue, and resources that are being exchanged to support our downtown businesses. And even for like regular business, I want to improve my building. What the red tape that's in the way, the ordinances, how difficult of barriers does local government put in place so that a local business can get into these incredible historic buildings that sit empty and erode, and actually put their money into it to improve them and make them functional and beautiful and open to the public.
Yeah.
You know, and government can either get in the way and just, you know, be a nuisance and discourage private capital, and those people can go to a different downtown. They can go to Buell. They can go out of state.
Yeah.
You know, or they can be partners and cooperate and have incentives for development and investment. We give incentives and tax breaks to large corporations like Chobani, huge tax breaks to come here and invest. Well, that type of approach and that type of break, a tax break or on capital gains break, can be offered up to someone that's investing in improving a historic building that's going to depreciate and be gone forever. And instead of having them just sit and rot and be an eyesore, and you have like gorgeous building,
need some
functioning
improvement.
business.
So you like the idea of like trying to fix up some of these buildings that are kind of like, because there is a lot of buildings that are kind of like, but then there's some of them need some work on the facade, I would basically say, and just kind of make everything look coherent and so forth. So you like that idea, basically.
Well, there's a fine line, right, between do we want government telling us what to do? Do you want government telling private property what to do? Or have an incentive? Have a partnership, have resources, have grants available.
They have something like that for the sidewalks or something like that.
There is. There's like a match program. But also, you know, local government is super good at like, if you have weeds growing in your yard or it's creeping onto the sidewalk that is, you know, belongs to the city, they will slap you with a fee and tell you, get these weeds under control.
I've seen this.
This ruler, you know, get the ruler out and measure your weed that's like 2 inches above the allowable,
these are too high.
Permittable height, and then fine you or demand of you to manage, maintain, upkeep, so that one, it's safe. Two, the aesthetic, because your crappy yard is bringing the property value down of the other person next to you, and just also is not safe. It'll catch fire or whatever. The seed will spread, and we have problems with certain plants, right? So, but we see these buildings that are sitting for years. I've been down here almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do math, like just 3 years there, 17. But anyways, 15 years, 14 years. And I have seen some of these buildings with the board on them, like barricaded for years.
Yeah, it's like, what are they doing with these?
It's
like
no one steps in and tells the owner either get it up to code
or make it look good.
Yeah, because
that's so weird. It's like a double standard almost, like cut your grass, but then this building that's left boarded up or so forth, it's like, don't worry about that.
Sure. Well, and the person next to you, if they've put effort, if they've invested millions
or a
into
lot of money,
their building,
they want
like what we've seen, with like the old Paris building. Gorgeous. Ken has done incredible amount of work, and so many other people I probably don't know.
I go take photos over there. Like I was like, good area.
Click. And then across the street they maybe don't. Well, now they do, but
it's slowly. You know, the thing is, it's slowly happening. It's not like a ba-boom, ba-boom. But I feel like even I'm like a type of person where I want things now too. Maybe you are kind of like that as well. Let's make it happen.
Yes, and also just not having a double standard. If an ordinary average family is required to maintain a 6-inch weed on their lawn and is fined for it, then a building owner in the warehouse building or in the downtown area who has purposely just sat on the building to wait for it to have capital gains and now be able to sell it at a crazy market value.
Yes.
And they're just sitting on it, but they don't care how it affects the neighbors across the street
that
or how it looks. Well, why aren't we enforcing code there? Fine, sit on it. Let your building be empty, but make it presentable or safe. Because if families are required to do that with their homes, with their yards, well, then that should be applied to the commercial community as well. Again, no double standard, because if we are a community, then we share the burden of making
everybody
sure
should kind of go. It's like we don't want anybody holding us down. We want everybody kind of to grow together as a community itself.
And the improvement requires each of us, right? Like if I paint the outside of my building, or if I maintain and water my plants, or it helps the rest of the community thrive, especially
and I think,
down here in downtown.
you know, even if how they did the sidewalk model, they could apply that with buildings as well. And like they could just figure out a way where they, you know, like I put this much, you know, show me the receipts, and then, you know, like have some kind of incentive process like they do with the sidewalks, which blows my mind. It's like we don't have sidewalks on some of these places, you know.
Still
Crazy. But
especially for our different able community, we have people that use, you know, walking canes, and for if they're blind, wheelchairs, electric wheelchairs. Those old sidewalks are so steep, and when we have the cold and our water freezes in the gutters, they're unsafe. They're super unsafe.
Let me ask you a few more of these questions. I gotta
and don't forget, we pinned one, which was how do you get people to if you're running in an election, how do you get
to
people
know
to
each
support?
other?
Do you want me to answer that?
We'll put that one on the back burner. I got more questions that I wrote down that are kind of more related to kind of like what you're doing and so forth. So my next question was going to be like, what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member itself? What's you're like, boom, let's say you get elected. What's your goal that you're going to be like, okay, I'm in office now. I have some say now. What are you hoping that, you know, you winning city council, you know, what do you hope to accomplish?
I imagine there's a learning curve. There's going to be, just like when I was serving on the school board, there's a learning curve. I've done as much as I can to keep up with agendas and just paying attention with budget. And I've been involved. You know, it's election or no election, I'm involved. And I've worked on different committees and initiatives, and worked to organize, mobilize, and champion the creation of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which is the first one in the state of Idaho, and now we have one in Twin Falls in city government. And what that does is it helps bring in perspectives, backgrounds, voices, conversation, input from hard-to-reach communities or historically and traditionally marginalized communities right here in Twin Falls. Where we see that really relevant recently is with COVID. We saw government hurrying to try to reach and educate those hard to reach communities. And there was not really an authentic trust built or an avenue of access. It's like, who do we get a hold of? Who do we get a hold of to let this group of people or that group of people know that this pandemic, there's this and this going on. There's resources, there's requirements, how to wash your hands, what, you know, because so much misinformation, and some communities and some people will get their information online or with WhatsApp or through a meme. And that doesn't help as a community to move forward in a healthy way if we can't reach the entire community. So that type of organic, authentic, built relationships and trust with different demographics in our community, with the LGBT community, with the Hispanic community, with our veterans that I've worked with our senior community, with women, because working in a boutique for 17 years, you work and you talk and you get to know your community through the moms, through the grandmothers, through the women, through the teens. You learn about the good, the bad. You learn about what's missing in our systems. When there's cycles of abuse, cycles of addiction, when there's poverty, and you also hear what is lacking as far as opportunities. Why are young people graduating and leaving as soon as they can from here? And we have a talent pool and a teacher shortage and a fireman shortage. And
it's like, so how do we retain people here?
Right. And people are like, so many local people have so much to offer and talent to offer, but what ends up happening is they transplant to another community. Why? Ask them. Let's have that conversation. But if you don't have an authentic relationship built with these demographics, you're not going to have that conversation with them. And to say, come to a city council meeting in nowadays is
there's not that many people going to city council
unless they're boring like me and they
they're like, let
go
me
to a city
see what's
council.
going on in here today.
Yeah.
What's on the agenda?
Right.
Yeah, like
and it's not
most people
relevant.
don't even know.
They don't feel it's relevant, or they feel like, you know what, the representatives we have, they don't represent me. I'm from a Latino background. I'm not, but I'm from a Latino background. I live in South Park, or I live in a different part of town. You know, I bought my first home. This is what I'm experiencing, or I have an apartment. This is what I'm experiencing. But there's not someone on the council that
Represents them, right?
understands my background,
Yeah.
or even sees my being here as valuable to the community, because we have that kind of rhetoric that's, you know, not just nationally floated around, but locally, where you're not welcomed here.
Yeah.
You know,
So
and people really feel that in a real way when it comes to their relationship with local government.
So would you say like you're like a candidate that can represent these people that are the minority, I guess, that are like I don't know how to even say this. I don't know what the word is here is like.
So I would say it's the majority. It's the majority that is feeling left out, and I'm not talking about ethnic or religious or sexual orientation or economics. I'm talking about the majority of the people that are working daily and are paying their bills, are taking care of their kids, are getting their kids fed, putting them to bed, start the day over again. They feel that they aren't necessarily considered, or their voice or input is considered when these major decisions are made in our city. But the voices of big developers, big corporations, special
they're kind of like leading the charge,
or the typical stakeholders, right? Like the typical stakeholders, because your social circle. So we have representatives, and typically they are part of the establishment. They are in the same social circles. If you go to like a Rotary meeting or another civic meeting or group or a luncheon or a fundraiser or a stakeholder meeting, like a round table. I think you and I were on some kind of a downtown roundtable stakeholder before, a long time ago, where we had
show up everywhere probably.
Well, where we had like we wrote
like,
on sticky notes. We would write suggestions and then we put them on posters. I feel like you were there.
You're probably talking about the Rock Creek Institute or something like that. It was like a Rock Creek Institute. You would probably be right there, I bet.
So typically, and you would know if you're mingling in the same circles, the same people are around the same people.
That is very true. It's always the same people.
And
it's like, how do you get these other people involved?
Because Twin Falls is a huge community, and there are really great ideas held by all these other people, and capital and investment and incentive to get engaged and involved. But when they see that we have stagnation in our representation, and it's either the same candidate for, well, some of these candidates, I believe, have been there for 12 or 16 years, or the same type of candidate. So it's someone's friend, someone's best friend, or someone from the establishment, that the establishment, like our commissioners or law enforcement, will endorse in a way and be like, let's get one of our friends in. And that's cool. That's great. That happens everywhere. But that type of nepotism, that type of good old boys kind of repeat, rinse, recycle of ideas, all it does is it just leaves people out. It excludes by design all these other people who are trying and investing. They're paying taxes. They are the majority. So I wouldn't use the word minority like as far as a group of people. No, the majority of the people are left out, because you go to a civic meeting or a lunch, which you have to pay to be a member, and you have to take your noon hour. Most people don't have that luxury. No, they don't have that luxury. I don't even have that luxury.
People don't even have a luxury to go view these city council meetings.
Yeah.
But luckily, they're online. But the thing is, like, they don't go watch them. It's like watching C-SPAN stuff,
And to not to minimize, but when you know you're not going to be considered and you're irrelevant to the process, you disconnect.
Yeah, disconnect from the process.
One of the things that I offer and bring to this process is I'm a candidate outside of the establishment, very much so. In any way, you look at it, I have been involved, and even when I've been involved, I could tell that I was, outside of the establishment.
Yeah.
And many times even told, so, sorry, it's like, you looked over there, I was like, is it a ghost?
Is it a ghost?
So I think that what electing me will communicate to the people who are supporting me, and it's a wide scale of demographics, generations, incomes, and people and backgrounds lived. I'm amazed when I meet the people supporting me, when we go past that first connection on Facebook and then I go meet them in person. I'm amazed by their background. I'm amazed that they have the beliefs that they do. We don't have to agree on politics because this local government, it shouldn't be about politics. When it's about politics, that's when we have a problem within the organization or system, right? Then we have a one-sided approach to problem solving. That's dangerous, especially when it's supposed to be nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's the thing with the city council. They're all nonpartisan, so basically you really don't know who's what, essentially.
And these issues, a lot of times like I said, people will say, I don't do politics. Well, okay, politics does you. And every single thing that you do in Twin Falls, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, even while you're asleep, the city is kept safe.
Yeah.
This is politics. But I don't use that word because this is livelihood. So these issues that come on and up on the agenda that are to be discussed and considered and worked through, and the solutions should be co-created with community members, right? Those are not political issues. These are livelihood issues.
Yeah, makes sense. Let me just try to get some of these questions. I have so many. All right, let's see how many of these we can get done in 15 minutes.
No, I'm
These
good.
are going to be like, maybe try to give me like, okay?
Okay.
Like short 1 minuters,
Okay.
maybe 2 minutes max.
Okay.
Okay. If you received $1 million in grant money to use for the city in any way you want, boom, here's $1 million. What are you going to do with that $1 million?
That's not that much money.
I know. I was like writing this down. I was like,
Okay.
do
we have to pay a tax on it first? Okay, this is just private money.
Grant money. The city has applied, got some grant. Maybe let's bump it up to like $10 million. $10 million. You and I are talking about like $1 million, not that much money. It's like these people are watching this. They're going to be like, $1 million is a lot of money,
for
Arnell.
local government budget, though, that's like...
It's just, that's very true.
It's
chump change. Okay, let's say we got like $10 million grant money and you can do anything what you want with it. What do you think the best way to spend that $10 million?
So, I mean, I'm assuming this is like, let's say, a very open grant. There's no strings attached,
nothing.
no
Make
government.
Twin Falls better.
Yeah. Ask the people.
Ask the people.
Ask the people. Survey the people. Analyze the community's needs. So what I wouldn't suggest doing, and this is important too, because the typical stakeholders that are, in office, in these conversations, involved in the decision-making process, and also in civic groups and organizations that are considered, or like associations, right?
Yeah.
They're considered and they're in the ear of our local government. Great. But also ask the people at large
what they want to do with the $10 million.
And just to assume that the council people represent the people, that's not fair. That's not accurate. In fact, that's a gross misrepresentation. When we look at the numbers of 26,000 people are registered to vote in a city of, what are we at?
55, something like that. Yeah.
Residents. And so 26,000 registered to vote, and only about 4,500 participate in elections.
That's low. Hey, what are you guys doing? Go out there and vote.
So to say that the city council covers and represents this wide demographic and the needs in those particular neighborhoods or communities or livelihoods is absolutely a disconnect. So, which is why we need representation that's in touch with the community, that represents more than just their social circle or their congregation or their industry, whether that's real estate or insurance or banking or farming. That's great. But are you out there talking in the community? Are you talking to the community?
Talk to the whole community as a whole to figure out what to do. Or are you just talking to
your friends, the people you go to church with, the people you live next to? You're missing a big chunk of Twin Falls. Twin Falls is incredibly diverse. It is a mosaic of so many different ways of life and approaching life and a ways of experiencing Twin Falls. That's a big miss. So to just have a conversation amongst yourselves, you're going to mismanage those funds, and you're probably going to build a bunch of Perrine Bridge replicas all over town with TV screens on them instead of listening to the community and invest in preventative maybe programs that have to do with addiction, support services that are already out there that are working with women that are experiencing violence, kids that are going through broken homes and violence. Invest in infrastructure, our sewer, our water lines,
buildings,
sidewalks. Listen to the different able community. As far as I know, very little input is from these communities. And I think that's when you know how to spend that kind of money and where to invest in. Or use it as a match program. Say, if you as a neighborhood or if you as a business building or a building owner downtown will make lasting improvement that will benefit an impact area that you're in, we will match or we'll help pay for that. Yeah. So there's many ways.
To do it.
I think some of those human services and resources, especially that have to do with the high level of substance abuse and addiction and mental health in our community that are very minimally being met, and people in these the workforce that are working in these industries, they are beyond heroes because they're working with very little funding and very little support from state government. And of course, their partnership with the local government, unless it's really supported and concrete and the funding is there, they're just going fiscal cycle to fiscal cycle based on donations. And we're seeing a strain. I mean, we're seeing people live right here across the street from you at the plaza because we just are not addressing homelessness and access to housing in our community.
It's not as bad as some cities. I would say, I've been to big cities and it's very pronounced, but I feel like people are more inclined to go to these other places than stay in Twin Falls for whatever reason. Again, I have no idea. But I mean, I like the way that you're thinking is let's see what the people want to go ahead and do with this and kind of come as a collective. What do you think about, again, just
Yeah, next question.
Next question. What do you think about the transportation? How people are getting around here? Do you think we need a bus system? Because everybody in Twin Falls, there is no, the only walking that people do is in downtown, and the mall and stuff like that. But, Twin Falls is not designed to be a walking city like Sun Valley or something like that. What do you think about getting people around with buses? Do you think that's necessary or do we just
Yeah. So again, listen to the people and more so analyze the pattern. How are people getting around when they don't have transportation? Typically, if it's medical related or through health and welfare, if it's Link or some kind of a pass, like a transportation pass, then that Uber, Lyft, and then local taxis. More and more people are using their app to access a nearest person who already has a car. Maybe we don't need buses. Maybe what we need to do is make some
kind of Uber system. We'll make a Twin Falls Uber system.
Other cities have done this where local government there is an incentive and then there's subsidies for existing cars that are already on the road so that we're not slowing traffic down, so that we can share rides and get people to, be mobile and move around, from one point to another in a safe way and in a very effective way. Because if you're on a bus like at CSI and you're trying to get downtown, by the time that bus stops at
multiple stops, it's going to take forever.
20 bus stops, right? Because it has to be on schedule.
Yeah.
You might not get downtown, in maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah. Who
Where
knows
you
how many
could walk faster.
Yeah.
But if you had an app, if the city had either the city or maybe it's a partnership, a private public partnership, there's so many options to explore with this, and funding available, or we can, get the public to decide if that's something that we want to fund. Instead of a bus system, you have to maintain those buses.
Yeah.
You have to have drivers. You have to pay the drivers to drive them. You have to have bus stops. You have to maintain the bus stops.
Yeah.
We have crazy weather here.
I don't think we're
Can
going
you
to...
imagine standing at a bus stop here when we have a blizzard, a tornado, and a
Yeah,
rain all
probably...
in 10 minutes all together?
Let's get an Uber system funded by the city itself.
or some kind of a partnership, where we have, here's example, right? Here's the 10 main stops, like St. Luke's, CSI, Starbucks, Arnell's podcast.
For sure.
The library, the courthouse, DMV, like critical points of access, public access. And then in between those, there's the places you need to go. You want to stop by your great grandma's house, whatever. You want to stop by Shoshone Falls or near Shoshone Falls or a hiking trail. Cool. So have a system in place where we're already using commodity that's out there, cars. We're not adding to emissions or slowing down of traffic. Buses are huge. And we're not having to build... spend money to build bus stops. Oh my God,
that'd be brutal. Yeah.
Right?
Imagine a bus stop on Blue Lakes.
And coordinate. Who are the travelers? Is it workers to one location? So work with that entity to have a pass for St. Luke's.
Chobani, get a bunch of a bus to Chobani.
Sure, or a shuttle, or CSI students. Like they are pretty much stuck if they're at the dorms or in the student living and they don't have a car. They're pretty much, that's their community. But get them downtown, so have a student pass. For some kind of either incentivized or subsidized Uber. And then this will also help people make a living driving, right?
Yeah. I like that.
I mean, that's a idea. There's many different ideas. There's a couple of different like TED Talks that talk about how do we modernize transportation without investing in like crazy amount of buses and contracts and
you have to buy land to cut out the stops or something like that too.
Well, and we have, like right now, we do have the school bus system in place. And so, and that's contracted, that's contracted separately by the school district.
Yeah.
So there's routes and there's also, I'm not saying use school buses, but there's a model, and a cost model that could be looked at and analyzed. So we have tools, we have a route that's in place, even though there's students going to schools, but we can look at how is traffic moving in Twin Falls? Where are people needing to go? Again, it helps to talk and be able to have a direct connection to the public and not just be, I only talk to my friends or the people I work with or the people in my inner circle.
Something I've noticed is a lot of graffiti. I do a lot of outdoor adventure stuff, and I see a lot of graffiti, and it's typically in Rock Creek or Auger Falls. There's this guy Slope. I don't know if you've seen this guy Slope, riding Slope around. We have an ordinance that says here's a little tiny fee. Would you be open to let's bump that through the roof so that way how I guess maybe what I'm trying to do is say how would you try to combat graffiti in Twin Falls itself?
So that language of combating graffiti, that's hard for me to even that's hard for me to agree with because I don't consider graffiti something we combat. It's an art form. Now, is it violating private property?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not talking about on private property.
Yeah.
There's no dedicated space.
There you go. If there's a dedicated space, if the criminal element here is not the art form itself. The criminal element is where you're doing it. Like if I painted the Starry Nights on your house, I'd probably get citation for it.
Yeah, you probably would be
incredible.
like this person. Like, what is?
Or if someone, wasn't using spray paint, but let's say did a mosaic of something else, like that would be considered art. So the criminal element is not the medium or the expression. In fact, I would argue that's their freedom of speech. Okay, but it is violating private property or public space or nature. Like
nature.
Sacred
I've
nature,
seen a lot of rocks get
right.
spray painted, and it's like, I want this to stop.
So what can the city do? And I think the city's already started taking the beginning steps of this, of creating an arts commission. I think our arts definitely have like a retirement tsunami effect happening, where there's an older generation that was supporting the fine arts and the arts and even like the art shows, and they're aging out. And the younger people, very few of them are participating. They're like not going to the auditorium to watch symphonies and jazz. Very few. They're not buying tickets. They're not going to the exhibits. Okay, so what do? It's not like there's a lack of artists in the younger generation. It's just that these institutions have become out of date and disconnected with the younger generation. And we know that because they're hurrying up and trying to get members on their boards that are younger, fresher, and are connected with the younger generation.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been hit up to be part of like 400 different boards, because you're young and you're talented and you're relevant.
I'm too busy.
You're too busy.
I ain't got time for this. I only have time for the podcast and wherever. I'm doing so many videos. That's my problem. I'm too busy. I don't have time to be
you're
helping
watching
out on
too
boards.
many videos on YouTube.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing.
there
Watching
you go.
people open up chocolate toys.
Yeah.
So what do? Engage with the people. Engage with the younger generation at the youngest level, with our elementary schools, with our junior high schools. Get the artists involved. Embrace graffiti in a public way. Why can't graffiti be part of public art?
Yeah.
In a really good way. Like my friend Winnie Christensen, she runs Culture for Change Foundation, right? It's a nonprofit. And one of the things, she's so brave, one of the things they did, what she really championed, was during Art and Soul to start a graffiti or street art category, and the murals right there at Float Magic. They were incredible partners.
Oh, yeah,
that.
I know. I've seen that. There's like a new kind of like Freak Alley. There's like 2 of them almost now.
And hopefully that is encouraged and growing so that graffiti is glorified and rewarded and praised and enjoyed and consumed in a healthy way that's not violating private property rights.
Yeah.
Right? And then, whoever, I'm not going to say like artist names that are out there just doing throw up. And that's what that's called. When you're just slapping graffiti and spelling out your name, that's throw up. And you're not respecting really your own name and whatever. The graffiti artists can get upset at me, but you're not even respecting your own name, your own turf, your own talent, because you're just throwing up all over places. You're pretty much disrespecting property. If you want to express your talent, then bring it to a venue.
Yeah.
Bring it to a venue. If you really want to, celebrate your name, or if you really want to celebrate culture, territory, your neighborhood, if you're proud of your neighborhood, if you're repping your hood, don't ruin it.
Exactly.
Enhance it. So the city could do a lot. They can really nurture and expand this arts commission. They can partner up or put it out there to partner up with local businesses that have back alleys, or the art department, or programs, the arts program, and just get it out there. Normalize graffiti in a public art way.
Yeah.
Because other than that, there will be, you cover it up, and it even looks worse sometimes than the original stuff because it never matches, right?
It's like paint's all over the...
then what you're doing is you're playing a catch-up game, and it's become criminal, and now you're actually giving more credibility and validating the street artist who is now like mysterious and slapping throw up all over people's buildings. So squash that by making it something that we embrace.
Yeah. Well, let's find a good spot for it. I think my coworker was helping with that, and with the city, with the art council or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it was with the art council or something like that. And I helped make an app called Keep Idaho Clean, where you take photos of where the graffiti is, so that way it shows you down like where all the graffiti's at, so that way the people for the city can come out and clean it up as well.
Oh, that's great.
So
what's the name of the app?
It's called Keep Idaho Clean. And Visit Southern Idaho, what we did is like, it was kind of like a two-purpose thing. It was basically kind of like you take a photo where the graffiti is, it puts a pin on a map that says this is where the graffiti is, it needs to get cleaned up. And then the other part of it was we were doing this whole thing where we were encouraging people to clean up Twin Falls by having like challenges to go pick up trash, and they take photos of trash, and then we reward them with money, basically. Yeah. People loved it. People were picking up garbage of like
from taking out of people's garbage bins.
well, it was like they were cleaning up all kinds of different places. I know AWOL does this as well at Jerky's Lake. So I think we need more of that. Kind of like community is like, let's try to freaking fix or clean up Twin Falls as much as we can, but again, trying to use technology and in a reward system
and there
itself.
You go. What you just said within that, you helped answer my question. Like, what can government do? All that government can do is be the conductor, bringing the technology, the partners, the incentive, the support together so that the people can take pride in their community and the behavior can change. The behavior can match the desire of the outcome. Government can't force us. We shouldn't be in that kind of a mentality where, what can government do? Yeah. Nothing. I don't want government doing anything like that.
It should support kind of projects like this.
Yeah, like support and help partner, help connect. Write a grant. Cities can write for incredible grants. We can do a scholarship. You want to do graffiti? Do graffiti. Here's an art scholarship. You know, why not? And we see, like, I was in Idaho Falls last week, and I'm there next week to, shameless plug. I'm doing a presentation about my book at the Idaho Museum in Idaho Falls. Nice. And we parked our car, and like there was this alley, this forever alley of the most beautiful artwork.
They have that
most beautiful artwork that I have seen. Here's the honest truth, and we have incredible amount of talent in this area, in the Magic Valley, in Hagerman, in all the surrounding areas. We have incredible talent, artists, traditional art forms. But some of the best art that I have seen are on those train tracks.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm parked and I see the train tracks and I see the caricatures and I see the texts, and people think it's easy. Graffiti and spraying is so difficult. No. It's so difficult. It's not just just some like magic. Hood rats, like scum, like some outdoor like person, like art form. No, this is like talent. This is talent, and the stereotype that's with it is the problem. So if we embrace it, we incorporate it, we destigmatize it, and
put it in a place where we say, let's do it here, and have some kind of system in place. Yep. Like even Boise does it. They have that freak alley. I don't know if you've ever been to Freak Alley.
That's so cool.
Yeah, people love seeing that. It's like an attraction. I can't take
enough pictures there. I cannot take enough pictures there.
People love getting like, look at me by these beautiful wings. I'm an angel. Yeah. We need more of those. We need to put like a bunch of angel wings around like a designated spot. But I think I'm going to leave it at that. We've been talking for an hour and 36 minutes. I probably could keep talking to you more about this, but we got to cut it.
Sure. Let's do that. Let's make sure you get some important dates out there.
Okay.
I do want to encourage people to. So first of all, I'm super inspired that we have as many people running as we do.
And brand new candidates.
And no, I do not know any of them. People, I
know
I'm
their names. I'm going to get to hopefully know all of them.
And I'm excited to watch this to get to know them. But I have people ask me, do you know who you're running with? Do you know who's this person? And no, I don't. I don't know. Maybe they are very active in the community, but honestly, I haven't heard of them or their names, but I am also in my space too here at downtown.
Yeah, so that's why I'm going to try to basically make it. So this really
helps, but I will tell you something I do know about all the candidates is that they are very courageous because it takes a lot of, and I don't have to know them personally to know that. And I have great respect for anybody that runs for any public office. You have to have so much courage and love of community. So already I know that about them, and I will say that about all of them without even knowing them. So I'm super inspired as a voter to participate in this election, but I'm even more inspired to actually run because of the momentum we've gained since the last election. We doubled our votes last time I ran. I don't know if you know, this is my third time running. And the demographics and the people that are for the first time registering or for the first time care to participate. They've been registered. They just sit out local elections.
Yeah.
So important dates. First of all, if people have not registered to vote yet, super easy. Get on your phone, go to voteidaho.gov.
Yeah.
You just register. You'll get a letter in the mail telling you your precinct. Precinct is where you go to vote on November 2nd. But there's also early voting, which is October 18th. Through the 29th. And also, if you don't want to do any of that, if you want to just sit home and vote in your robe, you can submit a request for an absentee ballot by contacting the city clerk. All that information is on liyahbabayan.com. All the links are there, super click friendly, and request the ballot, mail it in. And then on November 2nd, if you didn't register to vote, if you didn't early vote, if you did not get an absentee ballot, on November 2nd, if you punch in your phone, where is my precinct, Idaho, where is my precinct, you'll get to a website, you put in your address, street address, and it'll tell you exactly where the closest precinct is where you should go to vote, a church building or a civic
Like these
building.
dots. There's like a map.
It'll tell you, it'll say, go to the Presbyterian church or the da-da-da-da-da, right? And so you go on November 2nd, from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, you can register right there and vote right there. Bring your kids.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate example of patriotism, love of community, participation, expression of our rights. I take my kids and then they have the sample ballots. They pretend like they're voting. Yeah.
You're like,
and
hey,
I just can't imagine a better way to instill our democratic values than to take our kids to vote.
Yeah.
In a local election. And all the local issues impact us every single day the most.
Yeah, I was talking to Perry Gardner, and she was like, where you need to start is the local government, like city council.
Yeah.
Get that first fixed, then worry about like president.
Or just participate. Maybe there's nothing to fix. Participate there because, again, from the moment you wake up to the moment you're asleep, even when you're asleep, everything that's decided at the city council level is affecting, managing, impacting your life, your opportunities. So, yes, it very much matters. More so than what's happening in Washington most days.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this wraps it up good. I had a bunch of more questions, but I feel like we would run this podcast to like 3-4 hours, and we just don't have that time. So
I've very much enjoyed my time with you. Thank you for taking your time, talent, space to do this. This is super important. Voter education, super important.
I'll see if I can get any other candidates on the podcast. And ideally, the whole vision here is to just try to get to, this only gets to know you a little bit. I feel like if they really want to get to know you, they got to come to the website or maybe even meet you in person.
Absolutely.
Come buy something at Ooh La La too,
Email me, ask me questions, request a yard sign, text me. My cell phone's all the posts on the website, liyahbabayan.com. Make a contribution if you want to, but don't if you don't need to. To get a sign, just give us an address. We'll put a sign in your yard.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that concludes
Arnell.
it. It was nice talking to you. I feel like I've been much more informed.
Are you informed?
Yeah.
Are you registered to vote?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, see you on the next one. There. Boom. Done.
Super.